When you think about Christianity, you ultimately end up thinking about Jesus. You may have heard Christians refer to him as the Son of God or God the Son, but what is he really all about? This video is about how Jesus brings hope to so many people, no matter how messy or chaotic the world around us seems.
Does it ever seem like God has left the world in the hands of irresponsible leaders? Scandals, corruption, mistrust, accusations, and rumors all around. It can seem like everything has fallen into chaos. Is that what a world under God's control looks and feels like? God's people have been asking this question for ages. The people of Judea faced this question when they were captured on their own homeland and forced to watch Jerusalem burn as they were dragged away to Babylon. It's a universal human story. We feel the pain of life in a violent and unjust world. But God never abandons his people to live without hope. Although Israel was taken captive, God showed the prophet Daniel visions of his future plans for the Jewish nation. I watched as thrones were put in place and the Ancient One sat down to judge. Millions of angels ministered to him. Many millions stood to attend him. Then the court began its session, and the books were opened. God makes judgment against the nations and powers of the world. No evil is done in this world that God doesn't take into account. He knows about the suffering that happens on earth, and he will judge all evil. But that is not all that Daniel saw. In my vision at night I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. God has decided to appoint a new king to rule the world. This divine hero, called the Son of Man, a human, would come in the clouds of heaven and would amazingly be given the authority to rule the kingdom of God forever. The people of Israel would eventually return to their homeland, but their suffering would continue as more kingdoms continued to conquer and rule over them. Hundreds of years later, when the monstrous power of Rome stood over Israel, a human being would appear who would change history. He referred to himself as the Son of Man, the one who would rule all nations, who would receive authority over the empires of the world from God. This Son of Man, the child of humanity, was none other than God himself in human form, Jesus the Messiah. Sometimes it may seem that God has left the world in the hands of irresponsible leaders, but human governments and politicians are not the ultimate rulers of the world. There is a greater hero, Jesus, the Son of Man, who will bring all of the kingdoms of the world into judgment. He is creating a new kingdom right now in the midst of these old corrupt ones. We can become citizens of his future kingdom by giving our allegiance to Jesus, believing in him, and following his ways.